The federal government has disclosed that 130 million Nigerians are living in poverty. 130 million Nigerians living in poverty. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics and its partners. The figure was arrived at after a research using multidimensional poverty index, MPI, with 5 components of health, living standard, education, security, and unemployment as key parameters. The report was presented at an event in Abuja.
The World Bank had earlier revealed that 90 million Nigerians were living in abject poverty. However, with the current instability of the naira, high rate of insecurity, severe floods, and the continuous upward trend in inflationary pressures, it has become imperative to revisit the World Bank figures. United Nations resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Matthias Shimale, reveals the results of the survey carried out.
According to this year's MPI, 63% of people, 133 million Nigerians, are multidimensionally poor, i.e., being deprived in more than one dimension of the 4 measured. Multidimensional poverty is higher in rural areas, where 72% of people are poor compared to urban areas, where it's 42%.
The MPI report revealed that the national MPI is 0.257, indicating that poor people in Nigeria experience just over 1/4 of all possible deprivations. 65% of the poor live in the north, while 35% live in the south. Poverty levels across states vary significantly, with the incidence of multidimensional poverty ranging from a low of 27% in Ondo to a high of 91% in Sokoto. Despite several funding programs and alleviation schemes developed by the government, it seems that the country's SDG target of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty by 2030 will take longer than expected.
Monetary poverty figures show that pre-COVID of Nigeria's over 200 million population, approximately 82.9 million, that is 40.1%, were income poor. However, multidimensionally, a higher 50% were identified as poor, while 51% experienced intense poverty in education, health, energy, water, access, and other living standard indicators. To ensure the sustainability of this new multi-dimensional way of addressing poverty, the MPI has been adopted as the key policy tool and measurement method, complementing income-based measurement for poverty within the medium-term National Development Plan 2021 to 2025.
This report shows that multidimensional poverty is higher in rural areas, where 72% are poor compared to 42% of people in the urban areas. So that we see that poverty as a phase of rural origin, nature, and also, as we soon see, subsequently, the phase of women. Globally, people that are most vulnerable to poverty are very often women and children.
According to Shimale, poverty is a nationwide problem, but its nature is different in different parts of the country. So there is a need to tailor intervention to the deprivation profile of each state. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Yes, I'm sure that isn't really a good news for all of us in Nigeria. But maybe our next tidbit will give you an inkling as to why many Nigerians are poor. And this is at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, where the chairman of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdul Rashid Bawa, says more governors are now being closely monitored over suspected plans to launder money following announcement by the Central Bank of Nigeria on its plans to design higher denominations of the naira. Recall that Daily Trust had exclusively published an interview with the EFCC chairman where he revealed plans by 3 serving governors to launder money using table payments of salaries in their respective states after the Apex Bank's announcement. Bawa, however, did not mention names of the governors nor their states when asked.
The redesign of the naira has had a huge impact on economic activities, as it has steered up intense efforts to legally return stashed funds to the financial system. The EFCC has also embarked on sting operations to root out monies illegally kept outside the system and has in these raids recovered huge amounts of money.
We are happy with this Naira redesign in the sense that it will give central bank an opportunity of going back to square one. By the time they collect all these monies back to their system, then they are going to control the monies that they are going to release to the system. And then, of course, once the monies are back within the financial institution, it will help to further boost, economic activities in the sense that there will be more money for people to borrow. You understand? And then we, on our own part, will have the avenue of monitoring what are we doing with all these huge resources that are out there before that are now within the financial, institution.
Bawa also explained the reason why he feels the Naira redesign policy will cause the Naira to appreciate significantly, noting that it is not based on expert economic analysis.
But from what we are seeing these days, the dollar is up at 90 and then it is down 690. What happened? Is it that we have all of a sudden within 10 days carried out some, certain, miraculous economic activities to warrant, the crashing of the USD, and then we just realize that it's just about speculation. Majority of these, transactions on USDs that is happening, on the streets and among individuals are not for any economic reality. They are just using it as a means to store value.
And yes, governors are being monitored, but the EFCC boss will not be cajoled to indicate how many are on the radar.
The governors that we are monitoring, in fact, the numbers have even increased. We are monitoring everything. Nigerians are helping. Well, I don't want to give you the figures so that you will not go and speculate whether they are in the north or they are in the south.
Meanwhile, the EFCC chairman has explained the issues that led to the judgment, holding his office in contempt, noting that the case has been settled amicably.
And in June of this year, the car was released. We have started the process of releasing the funds when we got the judgment, which of course we are all surprised about, but we are able to go back to the court, and the court have seen reason to us and has completely reversed that earlier decision.
The anti-corruption battle has progressed in leaps and bounds, with EFCC recording 3,228 convictions in court as at the 4th of November this year. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Yes, the EFCC chairman there for you, saying more governors. When we interviewed him a few days ago, he said 3. Now, more governors. I'm sure many Nigerians will believe that so many things are not really going well. Well, now to politics, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, met with leaders of all 18 political parties participating in the 2023 general elections. The meeting, which held at the force headquarters here in Abuja, was convened to sensitize politicians on the need to avoid electoral violence before, during, and after the general elections.
The last form of political violence relates to the conduct of some state governors who manifest traits of political intolerance, which often inflame political tension. In this regard, we have been receiving reports of some state governors who encourage political talks and subnational security outfits under their control to disrupt seamless and statutorily guaranteed campaign activities of parties or candidates with whom they hold opposition political views. In so doing, they deploy their powers and influences to either prevent the mounting of campaign bills and votes or pull them down after they have been mounted, while also denying political opponents of spaces to undertake their campaigns or peaceful political congregations in contravention of the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. Most of the recorded violent incidents or threats often result from political extremism, misinformation, intolerance, wrong political orientation, hate speeches, incitement, and most importantly, the desperation of strategic actors within the political field who often place their parochial political ambitions over and above national security interests and our nation's stable democratic order.
We want to commend the Inspector General of Police for bringing all the political leaders and political parties together for this roundtable with the service chiefs and other heads of security agencies. It's a welcome development. It shows that the police is ready to police with engagement with the people. And like what was said here, everything that was said here are the problems that we're going to face in 2023. We raised the issue of clamp down on opposition in some states, the activities of some governors that are overbearing. We raise the activities of also some of the commissioners of police who seems to be siding at the side of the ruling government in different states. We raise the issue of arrest of political opponents in night to election. We raise the issue of use of trump-up charges against political opponents. We raise especially the issue of Weboni, where you have opponents of the incumbent being arrested and charged to magistrate. The police should not be involved in those kind of things.
Yes, at the INEC event, chairman of the PDP, Senator Yochi Ayu, represented his party, while the national organizing secretary of the APC, Suleiman Argungu, represented the ruling party. Also, presidential candidate of African Action Congress, Omoyele Sore, officials of the Labour Party, among others, attended the event, which we hope will actually change their mindset. The meeting is coming after several calls by civil society and other stakeholders on politicians to abide by the peace pact they had signed in September. However, it appears that most of the political actors are not respecting the peace accord, as evident in recent attacks on INEC offices and campaign rallies. The resultant effect of all these, of course, is the gradual loss of confidence in the safety and integrity of the system, which is capable of affecting voter turnout in the forthcoming election. And voter turnout, apathy, and all that is actually the focus of daily politics tonight. We are joined in the studio by Angela Ochubaye. She is the lead collaborator for the Vote 023 initiative. We also have Mukhtar Suleiman. He's the communication officer for Accountability Lab Nigeria. Welcome to the program, gentleman and lady.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
We will take a short break, and when we return, the discussion of the day commences. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and as usual, I'm your host, Hamza Idris. Yes, Angela, maybe I should start with you.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yes, because your group 023 is meant to address issue of voter apathy. Now, but if you look at our tidbits, the first one by NBS is talking about poverty. People will only have interest to vote when they have eaten, when they live in atmosphere of peace and security. The second tidbit, about governors now looting the money. And the third one, as we just saw it, INEC chairman also talking to political parties. Maybe I should ask you, what is your take on the poverty index? NBS said more than 63% of Nigerians are poor. What does this mean?
I mean, this is really sad. It's really sad, and I think it's affecting everyone in general to know that people are really living below the poverty line. It's sad to know that we're in this situation, and the effect of it as well in relation to the 2023 elections coming up. Yeah. It's very clear that more messages or more conversations would need to put that in the front burner regarding how people can, should I say, take not like we're saying that we shouldn't be considerate as to the poverty line, but more like, okay, we know that we're in this situation right now, but what can we actually do about it, knowing fully well that it's just going to take one day when we have that election, just one day, right? And in as much as we are should I say, more people are under that poverty line, it's just going to take one day for us to vote. And when that time comes, hopefully, we can push different kinds of messages out so that people see that maybe in their voting, it can actually change
the narrative,
regarding poverty.
Okay, Mukhtar, were you shocked by the figures?
Not entirely. I'm not entirely shocked. We beyond even doing the research, we can see it realistically in our day-to-day lives. What this has actually meant, what has actually been happening in the country. I've said this before. The weaponization of poverty is one of the biggest problems we have with our democracy.
Weaponization of poverty, yeah.
It's one of the biggest problems we have in our democracy as a country. Our political class have found a way to ensure that is part of the electioneering process. It is why activities like vote buying or vote suppression through money actually thrives in our system. So if we don't find a way to actually address that, it's a big problem. Earlier on, before I came here, I was with a few of my friends and some of the representatives from the Population Reference Bureau. It's an international organization. They're supporting the MPC for the census.
Yeah, because we have quite a number of them. The NBS, of course, then the National Social Safety Nets Coordinating Office, NASCO, the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, and the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. This is the first time you can see these credible agencies coming together. And when you look at the index, you know, the parameters they use to talk about security.
So we're discussing it earlier with the PRB, people from the PRB, because they are supporting the NPC for the forthcoming census that's going to be happening in March, hopefully next year. And what we got to find, in our discussion, it's deteriorated into, not really deteriorated, let's say it's transcended into discussing how our political class use poverty as a weapon to actually dehumanize the citizens. Categorically, we see it happen. It's why the sycophancy is at an all-time high in politics as opposed to every other sector in the country. So we really need to check that. It was really painful. When I saw the whole report earlier, I was trying to read the report, I saw that out of the 63%, close to 90%, if not over 90%, are from the north.
80, here, the figure, the figure said that, 86 million people, 65% of the poor, that's 86 million live in the north, while 35%, nearly 47 million, live in the south.
And then
poverty level across the state increased significantly, with incidence of multidimensional poverty ranging from a low of 27% in Ondo to a high of 91% in Sokoto. 91%.
The problem I find is that it's not because there is no economic activity happening in Nigeria. It is that we've restricted the economic activity to just circulate, the economic benefits to just circulate within the top 1%, if I may put it that way. Because if you look at the Africa Index, for example, Nigeria still has the highest IGR. GDP, I mean. Nigeria still has the highest GDP by far. The GDP of Lagos is still bigger than about 5 African countries. So it is not because there are no economic activities happening in the country. It's just that the economic benefits, it doesn't trickle down to the average man in the society, to the everyday citizen. And, I've said this before in some of our conversations that we've had, that it is one thing when you are seeing that there's economic turmoil in the country, and you can see that the government is struggling really hard to solve it. But it's another thing when you're seeing that there's economic turmoil in the country, but the government is living la vida loca. That's a whole different ball game. And it's really something we really need to look back at, and we need to ask our leaders if they really have us at heart, honestly.
Yes, Angela, another frightening discovery by these wonderful groups was that 2/3, that's 7.5% of children aged 0 to 17 are multidimensionally poor, according to the National Average, and 51% of all poor people are children. What does this portend for the future? 50% of our children are poor, meaning they don't have access to education, they don't have access to health, they don't have access to basic privileges of life.
I think this just shows how dicey we as a nation are going. If our children at this point in time, and given these figures that you've put out here, are living under this poverty line. That's just crazy. And it also just shows that we need to do something about this now, because if we do not make these changes in the years down the line, it's just going to be a crazy situation. I mean, everything you're pointing out, giving out right now is just sad news. I'm just hearing this is just horrible to hear this figure.
In fact, they said 90%, they upped the figure there. 90% of rural children are experiencing poverty as of now. But is this an indictment, talking politics now? Because we're in an election year.
Yeah.
What does this portend for the ruling party? Because this thing is happening under its watch.
In relation to, honestly, I think I would just, say this again, that when you're looking at the ruling party and what it means to see these figures, it just shows that, okay, what have you been doing for the past, few years?
Yeah.
Now you want to come back again.
7 years to ameliorate poverty.
Yes, you want to come back again. What are you showing us? If in the past few years we can't exactly say that you've done anything to address the aspect of poverty to the point that is even affecting our children, it's affecting healthcare, it's affecting different aspects of our life. So what exactly are you going to bring to the table to say this is something new and this is the reason why we should vote again?
Mukhtar, a few years ago, I think 2 or thereabout, the president said the target is to bring out 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years. And I think during the democracy speech in 2019, he said about 10.5 million people have been liberated out of poverty. So how do we now?
I think it's so funny how when he said that, I think it was a few months after he said that, we're declared poverty capital of the world. So I think that answers his question. I think that sort of answers his question. And just to put to context, the numbers never lie. The statistics are always going to show. Yes, we know that they did not sample the entirety of the country. But if they're using...
They cited, I think...
56,000?
Yeah, 56,000 households across the 30s. In fact, all the senatorial districts of the country. Meaning there is clear representation. They didn't mention some of the issues. But you see, this MPI, I think, is the first time they are using multi-dimensional,
because we are
poverty index. Instead of using the per dollar, what you earn. This time around, they were specific. They talk about insecurity, how it affected every other person. They talk about lack of access to education what people used to cook, that they use dung, and very sad.
Yeah, honestly, it's a very pathetic situation we're in currently in the country. And the funny part of it is that maybe I may be sounding pessimistic here by saying this, but I do not see it getting better next year. Even after the elections. Even after the elections. I am trying to be as realistic as possible so I don't get as heartbroken as I was in 2015. So it's not going to take one tenor to fix most of the problems in the country. I think we need to do better in terms of how we approach. Hopefully, if we vote well, and I know we're coming to voter apathy conversation, but it is my hope that if we vote well, we're in a step toward the right direction. That's one thing, because I have also always, anytime I'm in front of a camera, in front of a mic, I always reiterate this. I'm going to the polls in 2023 not to vote for the president. I'm going to go vote for my senators. It's why I'm not voting in Abuja. I want to go and vote in Kaduna because I want to have a say in the representation.
You are more interested in what happens at the grassroots than
senators,
what happens at the national level.
The policies that they pass affects the entire country. So if you don't have reasonable two-third people sitting down in the Senate House, then you're always going to have problems. Even if you have a reasonable president, he will not be able to pass any bill. So we have to look at that. So
you must have reasonable. Now this takes us to the other issue, the meeting of the IGP with political actors, and it wasn't out of the blues, lots of attacks. We did a report here that there were attacks on 47 INEC facilities since 2019. 47 different INEC facilities. Is this really positive for democracy?
I mean, that's also scary. I mean, to know that all these buildings were attacked.
And their staff,
it's really crazy. And then the question again is, it hits back again on the aspect of security. Like, INEC needs to definitely beef up their security, definitely one way or the other. The question is also, where is this coming from as well? Who's behind? Who are the, you know, the guys behind this? Why is it happening at this point in time that all these attacks, you know, are taking place? And it poses a lot of questions. People are asking, is INEC, you know, also compromised? You know, different questions are being asked. And then again, people equally want their PVCs, and they're like, okay, what's happening?
And they burnt over 63,000
things are burning. So it's like, okay, what is happening? You want us to vote, but then again, the rights or the power that we have, which is our PVCs, it's still supposed to be secured in INEC. Why is it even being held for that long? Why can't it be released, you know,
they
as
said
quickly as possible?
The PVCs are there. For instance, the PVCs that were burnt, you know, they said it was politicians that mopped them because they know that INEC, you know, has put instrument to avert rigging. So the best way to disenfranchise people is to now take the voters' card and then destroy it.
Yeah, but taking it from where?
From the people. They give them money.
Right.
Very sad, right?
Yeah, I think I saw a report of some of the some PVCs in gutters.
Yes, I saw that one.
Yeah, some of them were thrown away, some of them were discarded. I think we need to educate the general populace that the sanctity of our democracy as a country hinges on how well we can protect that electioneering process. So if we do not do our bit and our part to actually fix that, then there's a problem. Earlier this morning, I was in a meeting. We're having a security meeting around how operations of non-governmental organizations around the elections, especially those that are in governance and accountability. And one of the partner organizations were asking what our plans were. And I remember I was telling them earlier that
you at the accountability lab.
Yes, and I was telling them the Nigerians are, yes, we have problematic people, but who doesn't? But one thing I love about Nigerians is that if there's understanding, you can reduce the violence. So we should try as much as possible to educate people to understand the process better. If not, people are not going to understand the Electoral Act, and it's going to do us more harm than good. In
maybe that's why they are really releasing their voters' card.
Yeah, because most people still don't understand the content and context. Very small, basic things that, they should know. The electronic transmission of results.
Yes.
What does it mean? How does it work? People should know this because this is a new, uncharted waters for us, especially for the general elections.
But the fear, I think, is you have to be secured before you not even vote. Because the IG said the second form of political violence manifests in form of inter-party intolerance and violence, which often become particularly pronounced during campaigns, election and post-election phase. It is on record that not less than 52 cases of such politically motivated intra and inter-party violence have been recorded across 22 states since the official commencement of campaigns.
September,
yes. We have, it's scary, 52 violence recorded. So this is just the beginning of the campaign.
And with this happening right now, this would even still affect voter apathy.
Which you are campaigning for.
It's because now people are like, see, why do I want to risk my life? You know, at the end of the day, you want us to vote and you want us to come out. And even right now during campaign periods, there's a lot of attacks here and there. And this is why, for me, I'm always saying, I wish we could get even the police to give some level of plan. What is your plan? What's your security plan, for example? It's a great thing that he talked about, to the political parties to say, let's, do something about reducing the thuggery or so that was mentioned. But what is the police, what is their plan regarding security? Because they need to put that out there to help the regular Nigerians trust in the fact that, do you know what, the police will be there to protect me at the end of the day. So beyond speaking to the political parties, I feel they also need to put out some workable plan to the regular Nigerians to say, this is what we're going to do, so that they can, just that hope.
That's beyond talking to political actors. Okay, I think this is where your organization comes in, and we'll take a break so that when we return, we ask you more questions on that.
Thank you.
Please don't go away.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Yes, welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our various social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Yes, our discussion basically voter apathy amid rising fear for crisis. And we have in the studio Angela and Mukhtar. Angela is from 023.org. Vote023.org. Yeah. Why the initiative?
Okay, so basically, the visionary Emeka Mba, he's a solutions architect, and he came up with this project, this initiative, which is how can we get 23 million Nigerians before 2023 to listen to messages called IVR messages, to listen to messages giving them strong reasons why they should vote in the 2023 elections. And in such a way that when they listen to this message, they're given some form of incentive, which is airtime credited to their phones. And explaining to them the crucial role they all play. That's 23 million Nigerians, for example.
Why 23 million?
I mean, we're just playing with, you know, the
figures.
2023, we're giving you 23 reasons, and we want to reach out. The goal is to reach out to 23 million Nigerians before 2023 to get them to vote.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Mukhtar.
If I may even add to that,
yes.
If I may even add to that, is even ironically, we're currently doing messaging for people to go collect their PVCs.
At the accountability lab.
At the lab, yeah. And one of our messages that's currently out is saying that as of June 2022, there are 20 million unclaimed PVCs.
What?
Sitting in INEC, yeah. As of June in 2022, and this is more than the winning votes of the president in 2019.
Crazy
so
statistic.
It is crazy when how most people don't go to collect the PVCs. Now we are saying that 93+ million are registered to vote. How many people have collected? We've not gotten that updated number yet.
Yes.
Not to the best of my knowledge, anyway.
Yeah, I think you know on Saturday they displayed the
state by state.
Yeah, state by everything. In fact, even you word by word that you can go to their website.
Oh yeah, that came out. That's true. I just even remember that came out. I had to check my own. I'm voting in Kaduna in Samaru. So that is also a very important. And we need to tell people out there that beyond getting the PVC, you shouldn't just get it as a means of valid means of identification for bank or for the airport. People should go out and use it, and not just use it wisely.
Yes.
Go there, vote your conscience, whether it's a goat, a shoe, or a dog, whatever it is that you feel like is good on the ballot. But just make sure that you're not driven by dogmatic principles. You're going there because you feel like this person has, beyond all reasonable doubt, explained to you that they can actually prefer some of the solutions that they're actually suggesting in their campaign.
Okay. But what we did instead, in as much as, you know, I'm thinking that yours is somehow, to some extent, like a bit partisan. Right?
No,
Maybe,
it's not partisan.
No. Well, okay, at least it's still saying, oh, this particular individual. We are focused on the reasons.
Why people should vote. And what are some of these reasons?
So we've got security. We've got healthcare. We have this season now.
Like the education that the indices released by NBS and others.
Fantastic. We have tourism. We have technology. We have key crucial things that people should look at and say, do you know what? This is not about this political party. It's not about that political party. It's not about this individual. It's about Nigeria.
So it's non-partisan.
It is non-partisan. It's about Nigeria. And I like to look at it as if, you know, Nigeria is calling out to all of her sons and daughters and saying, you pick one of the reasons why you want Nigeria to be better. If it's education, let that be the reason that you would pick your PVC.
We have 13 million based on the latest figures.
0.5,
that came out. Yeah.
13.5.
13.5.
According to UNICEF.
Oh my God.
Out of school.
Out of school.
Yeah. So I could see somebody, I could see someone just saying that if for anything, let me just pick the issue of child care or child education as the reason why I will pick my PVC and vote. I know when you mentioned that, I didn't even know of those figures as to the number of people that, have not exactly gone to pick their PVCs. That's crazy.
That's scandalous,
because you can have that and you are registered, but you've not gone to pick it up. And so our messaging is in Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, Pidgin, we have it in different languages and getting people to go and vote.
But you see, one thing is to get the PVC. What do you think should be the incentive for them to go out on election day?
They're tired. I think everybody's tired of this thing, of the country, the way it is. And the only way you can have your voice heard, the only way you can actually be a part of the governance process is if you go out there and actually vote. If you don't vote, then you've lost your... I don't argue with people who don't vote.
Thank you.
If I ask you, are you going to vote, and you say no,
then
I don't care about your opinion.
No
I just move on.
Yeah, because you don't...
You're not convinced?
Sorry?
The person?
No, I will try to, but if you're adamant that you're not going to vote and whatnot...
It's like, let me choose my battle.
I just don't even bother myself about, because I don't think...
So you go for those who you think you can sway their...
I'm not trying to campaign for you to go vote for a particular candidate. I don't care who you vote for. Like I said, vote for a goat, vote for... I don't care. Just go out there and cast your franchise. And one of the things I love about the Electoral Act and what it has done in terms of security is that...
But is it an indictment now on those who are not willing to vote, that they want the situation to continue the way it is?
Yeah, so for example, let me take us back to, on our platform, reason 2 is the opportunity is now, seizing that opportunity. Okay. And we talk about the fact that you can't keep complaining about the situation of the nation. You can't keep complaining about what is happening in the country. And you know that you've got that power within your hands to do something about it, but you are not willing to vote. And that's why I can understand where he's coming from. It's like, okay, why am I even having a conversation with you if you don't even fit within that, you don't even want to do anything about voting. Yeah. But then again, what we would do is to see how to convince that person, because we need your votes.
Okay, what are the incentives? Because this is what I wanted to ask you, since you said vote023.org, right?
Yes.
Okay, what incentives do you have to actually encourage people to go out to vote after collecting their votes?
So, I mean, basically right now, what we have are, like I said, IVR messages in different languages on our platform. Once you call that particular number, you listen to the message, you are given airtime credited on your phone immediately. Once you listen to the message, you're given airtime. You are
leveraging technology.
Yes, so that's what we're doing.
Is it because we have higher number of young people?
No, I mean, this is not just about young people. This is about anyone that has got the telephone. Anybody that has got a regular, it doesn't even have to be a smartphone.
So if I call you to get information.
If you call that number and listen to the message to the very end, you will get airtime credited to your phone. That is our own way of supporting the, this whole voter apathy conversation. Like, how can we get more people to listen to this message? If you listen to it, you can also put in other people's numbers. So your uncles, your aunties in the villages, put in their numbers there. Choose the language you want them to hear it. In Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. Once they listen to the message, they get credited with airtime on their phone. And that's a way, that's what we decided to do to support that cause.
People must be convinced that they will be safe. But now, if you look at how campaign spokespersons are really hurling insult at one another, what is your take? Yes, you can see now according to Section 92, Section 2, it says abusive, intemperate, slanderous, or bare language or insinuations or innuendos designed or likely to provoke violent reactions or emotions shall not be employed or used in political campaigns. This is the Electoral Act 2022. Now, look at what is happening.
I read this morning. Ironically, funny enough, I read this morning.
Okay.
While we were at the security meeting, because it was part of the conversation we were having about what the current political climate is like. We're seeing a lot of slander here and there. We're seeing a lot of verbal abuse, and that needs to
Serious
be
destructive
One of the things I
campaign,
love about what the Electoral Act has also done in terms of security for voting is that irrespective of who you are, there is a radius within which you can bring in ammunition to polling units. For example, for example, if your polling unit is this Jabi, there can be armed policemen somewhere at the customary courts area. There can be ample if the main polling unit is here at Daily Trust. Maybe your polling area rather is Jabi, but the main polling unit is here at Daily Trust. You cannot bring armed ammunition of any kind. Whether you are the president, the governor, you cannot come in with ammunition to the. I think
so this is how they measure
this. Incentive for security, because sometimes we see situations where they will say, "Oh, the thugs overpowered the security and collected their guns." So you're not bringing in any form of weapon to close to the polling unit, which is also good for security. Good. Yeah, and it's beautiful when you. I'm taking my time. I'm actually reading the Electoral Act section by section, because I think that we need to do that more, because for us at the lab now, what we're trying to do is we're also trying to see how we can numb down the content of the Electoral Act, especially when it comes to how to vote. Electoral behavior and all of that, for people to understand these things even better.
Okay, Angela, you are a lawyer, right? Yes, can you speak on destructive campaign by spokesperson? You can see that they are actually individuals and they are all right, but look at how they throw caution to the winds and they are just, attacking each other.
Well, I mean, clearly you can see they're talking about slander and all of that. That is not supposed to be, used, but then it's still used. So clearly they have broken certain laws. And the issue right now is that who's bringing that to the front burner to say, no, you can't do this? Who's holding them accountable to it? Can we also say that, no, you shouldn't have done that? And what are the laws, protecting the other individuals or the other parties from, this slanderous, words that are being brought out, especially during this election period? So the issue again is when we've got laws in place and someone breaks it, who is holding the other party accountable? And so there's always the implementation part of the beautiful laws that we have. You just mentioned right now what you said about, guns not coming. I'm like, okay, let's see how this is going to work. It's good on paper.
During the security meeting
it's good
today,
on paper.
Did they mention maybe certain measures they will put? Because you see one person, the same police that called all of you, we are doing a report that they have even commercialized. I may be naive that they have commercialized even getting access to their resources, meaning the personnel, the equipment. You can pick 20 police. You are going to Kaduna to vote. So if you have money, you can apply for 20 policemen.
I know.
To go in. And then now what happens
to be my escorts.
Yes,
so are you saying that if you were to get them in, they can't go past the radius? Is that what you mean?
Now assuming they encroach, now who will reprimand them?
Yes.
That's like what she said. We have beautiful laws, because even if you go down from 92, I think 92.3 or 92.4, it tells you what the sanction is for whoever it is that goes against that particular section of the act. But who then implements it? Who then executes these laws when people break them?
If the enforcers have been commercialized,
who enforced it? Who enforces it? One of the things I think I really appreciate about how the current INEC chairman has been going about this preparation for the election is that he has looked for a way to somehow maintain his
independence.
Aside from independence, to maintain his resolve about how the elections should go. And he's trying really hard to make sure that he can salvage what is left of his name and ensure that there's a free, credible election in 2023. But beyond him, he cannot be everywhere. He cannot be in all 774 local governments and all 5,000 plus polling units in the country. He cannot be there, in those places. So it now goes down to the Rex. It now goes down to the ad hoc staff. We need to make them understand that the sanity of this democracy now rests on what they do in that polling unit that day of the election.
Yes, Angela, 2 days ago, the INEC chairman released you know, a statement on, it was one open letter to Nigerians that it was 100 days to the election. And he cautioned people, especially in relation to respecting the letters of the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and then their resolve to, you know, support INEC in doing credible election, transmitting result, the usage of Bibles and all that. But my fear now is, which I want you to talk on, these politicians are now going from village to village to now give people peanut because of what NBS said, poverty, 10,000, 5,000, and then they collect the voters' card. So are we going to even have election if all the voters' cards are taken by politicians?
And this is why this education is just so critical. Like, how can we still put this messaging out? Like, how can even those in, for example, maybe rural areas, like you said, how do they know that do not collect, do not give this your PVC out, you know, just because of the peanuts that are given to you, that this is your right. We have to keep talking about this. We need to keep pushing this out. Media needs to keep doing this. Guess what? They all listen to radio. They also listen. They also watch TV. So how can we push these messages out as well? That, see, you cannot sell your birthright, as far as I'm concerned, just to collect whatever amount of money that you're going to be given at that day. So I mean, it's sad, but then again, this poverty conversation is real. It is real. And that is why we need to address this. This is why Nigeria needs to be better. This is also why poverty as well is part of our reasons why we all need to come and vote on that day.
Okay, at the lab, what are you really doing? Maybe because you account for most of these things that are happening. Do you think it's possible for INEC to replace some of the, because many people have lost their voters' card, they are just rediscovering themselves that they have made a serious mistake. Yeah. Do you think INEC should consider replacing those voters' cards that have been banned or seized from people?
Well, it's a very dicey thing. It's a very tricky position to be in. Election is not small logistics. So if you have gone out of your way if you're going out of your way to try to make it very difficult for the people who are trying so hard to ensure that there's stability in the process, I don't know. I can't speak to INEC's countenance as opposed to whether or not they should do it, because everybody is responsible for their actions or inactions in some cases. So I really, perhaps INEC might consider, but I don't see them doing that.
But would this apply to the ones?
Because the time is too close.
Yeah, the time is too close.
But what about the ones within the INEC offices that were probably...
They have not been collected.
That were burnt. But then how, unless we have a system that shows that, okay, of course there's a system. So that shows that, oh, these ones were still in the office before they were burnt. I think it's only fair that INEC should go out, should ensure that those things are actually reproduced, especially if the people who owns those things want, because it will be unconstitutional to not give them back their cards when they have not collected it from you.
Yeah,
it will be very unconstitutional, and you are disenfranchising them, and that is illegal. So that, from that aspect, I think INEC should replace those cards that were burnt in their offices.
Okay, thank you very much.
Burnt in their offices.
Yes, final word from you, because you are talking about voter apathy. So how can we actually reduce this?
Well, keep saying it again and again. People's hopes are dwindling. That's the truth. People believe that votes don't count. People believe all sorts of things regarding the electoral process. And the truth of the matter is, yes, I don't want to deny the fact that also violence, for example, has equally affected people, you know, thinking about the election and wanting to go out to vote. It's valid. Everyone has these valid reasons.
All right.
But we have to keep talking about it. We have to keep the conversation on the front burner. We have to let everyone know that the power is in your hands. It's just going to take one day. One day we would determine the course of the nation for the next few years. And just let's not think about all of the inconveniences just for that day, and let us
sacrifice that day and get it right. Okay, thank you very much, Angela Ochubai from vote023.org.
Yes.
We hope you will continue the sensitization so that to reduce voter apathy.
Thank
yes, Mukhtar from Accountability Lab. We thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's a wrap on today's program. Thank you very much for watching, and do join us again. I am Hamza Idris.